Hello, everybody. I'm Alex, and welcome to the B-Side, where we strive to go beyond the hits and inform you of the music that you might be missing out on. And today we're going to be doing another indie review. And the album we'll be reviewing today is the new Maiorem record, In the Last Days. Maiorem is the name of a collaborative effort between Andrew Ida and Jack T. Russell, a pair of musicians from Appleton, Wisconsin. Both of them have gained some reputation in their local scene. Russell released an album himself last summer called Let's Play Together. And the two had previously collaborated on a single about a year ago, the track Reach, which I personally enjoyed a fair bit. There's a nice combination of influences with their collaboration. Ida brings in a more metal-centric mindset, whereas Russell's mindset is more grounded in Americana. So it shouldn't be surprising that this debut full-length effort sounds like a fusion of those two genres. That will probably seem like a very strange combination to most people, but it's not quite as off-putting as you'd expect. What I like about In the Last Days is that it's good at contrasting the more intense, thrashing instrumentals that you'd expect from metal tracks with moments of serenity, sometimes both happening in the same song, and I wish that more metal albums were able to pull that off this well. I will say, though, that I'm not sure this should really be evaluated as an out-and-out metal album because of how frequently these contrasts occur. On top of that, Russell's vocals on this record are clearly those of somebody who doesn't normally sing metal. And that's not to say they're bad, by the way. They're far from it. They're actually pretty good. But compare his singing on the track Harvesters, which sounds like something that could have made it on the solo record of his, to the heaviest track on the album, Fire and Iron, and it's pretty evident which of these two songs lies more in his comfort zone. There's no yarling, there's no screaming, no death growls, or anything like that. It's pretty tame, it's pretty nice, and that's about all there is to it. The biggest issue I have with this album is that there are a lot of sound bites and spoken word clips that aren't really given proper context. Let me elaborate briefly. If we look at the title track of this album, I have no doubt that there is some sort of deeper significance to the spoken word interludes that are interspersed throughout the duration of the song. I certainly don't believe that this whole pseudo-dystopian story about someone losing their wife and being forced to raise their daughter on their own was placed into the track just for shits and giggles. I assume there is significance there. But the problem is that the listener does not have the same context that the artist does. Their perspective is just not the same. In order for these sorts of interludes to be effective, I think there needs to be a very clear linkage between the interludes and the music, because otherwise all that I, the listener, am going to think is that the song's flow is being completely disrupted by entirely unrelated ramblings. Also, I think the delivery of the interludes could be made more believable as well. It seemed pretty flat to me, not having as much energy as I would think that someone who's in that situation in real life would have, you know? Okay, yeah, that last part was a bit of a non sequitur, and I apologize for it, but spoken word interludes are things that are very, very difficult to do well, and really, really noticeable to the average listener when someone doesn't get it right. Look to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon if you want an example of someone absolutely nailing the concept of the spoken interlude. For the record, I do want to say that I don't dislike this album by any means, but at the same time, I feel like either I'm missing something or there's something missing in general. This is one of those situations where I think having the context that the artists have would really help my enjoyment of the final product, but without it, whatever overall story or mood they're trying to project, and I do believe there is one, judging by how coherent some of these song themes seem to be, it's just not really clicking all that well with me. I think maybe a more consistent album flow from song to song, as well as giving the listener more context, making things a bit more clear for them, I think that would help a lot. And I think there's lots of potential here because the overall aesthetic of the record, I think, is actually very, very nice. Personally, I'm going to give this record a C+, but I do recommend checking it out because I think there is absolutely some worthwhile material on here. And that concludes my review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. The link to the record is in the description. Make sure to check these guys out. Best of luck to them in future, and I'll see you all next time. Later.